Hello, everyone. Thanks a lot for coming to the fourth Flutter workshop. Today we'll be expanding on our Pokedex app from last week. So if you attended last week's workshop, it was pretty fun. We went over some new concepts in Flutter, and lots of people loved what Marcos did last week. So he's back this week. Um, so just again, a quick intro about Marcos. He's a Flutter developer and also a DSC lead. He's also been part of the GDG community all the way from Central America. He's actually doing this workshop at 1 a.m. where he's from. So yeah, let's hope it goes amazing. Today, we'll be going over more app state management and hopefully get to learn more about animations for detail screen. So with that said, I'll be passing it on to Marcos, and yep, hope you guys have fun.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks a lot for inviting me again. I'm very happy to be here again, and I hope everyone gets to do this workshop the same way we did the first one, and everyone enjoys it the same way. Okay, so I'm now sharing my screen. Tell me when you see it. Okay, you're watching it.
Yep.
Okay. So the first workshop was about creating this app. So we have the same app we had last week, and we have this this app in the same repo of the last workshop. So if you don't have the repo, you need that code, you can go to this link. And you can see, if you go to the branches, you see there's actually 5 branches. So master has the part I'm showing here. It's the same part as finished. Finish is the one we had last week. And we had the starter one for last week for you to actually get along with the workshop. And now we have starter 2. That's the one we're going to use to work in this workshop. So I'm going to actually stop running the app here, and I'm going to delete it. So if you go here, if you use DSCode, you can quickly change your branch from here. And if you don't have the branch and you have VS Code, probably you need to run a git command called git fetch, and then you'll have the latest branches on the repo. So basically, if we change to starter 2, okay, we need to clean the project before that. So stash that, and then you don't have to do this. It's just because I was making some tests before. So we go to starter 2, and then Flutter runs pub get to get all the packages and things we use around the app. So we now have the new structure, you can say, for the app. So basically, this workshop is about state management mostly. And when we do state management, we can see we need some structure for our app. So I just wanted to maybe draw it. I think it's draw.io. Okay. Okay, I just wanted to, let me see. Okay. So in the previous app, we had basically 4 things we're using around the app. We have the basic models. We're gonna decide that later. And then, okay, so we have basically, I think, okay, so basically we had first the UI. That's basically our basic components that we had in the app. So we're gonna do that like. So we had the UI, and then we had the actual state of the app that we basically, that's the part we managed with the stateful widgets. So if you see the repo, you can see we use stateful widgets for changing the state in our app. That's a way to do it, and it's a pretty small app. So if you do it that way, it's okay. But we're gonna add up some functionality. So if you have more functionality, you should see another alternative to set state. So we have the UI, we have the state, and we have basically the calls to the API that can be also called as networking, because we're making calls in the network. And then we have the last part, that's the last thing we did. It's the models. So basically the app worked this way. We had the models that we used to, it's called serializing data. So we receive a JSON, and then we make it a Dart object for us to actually use it in our app. Then we use that model to wait for the API, and then we serialize that data with the model. So this API part, this networking part, goes right along the models. And then when we actually have the data from the API, we change our state and we change our UI. So first we start with an initial state with no elements. Then we call the API, get that data. And when we get that data, we update our state. And when our state updates, we update our UI. So basically that's the thing you need to know to go through this project. So we have basically that part. We can do actually this and create a new folder called UI, and then our widgets go to UI and our screen goes to UI2. So it's gonna create some like problems here. We're gonna solve them quickly, just in the imports, because we're using some new locations in our files because we change places. And then I have this project with some to-dos, so we can go through every to-do in the app, and then when we have all the to-dos resolved, we have our app done, basically. So we're gonna start running it, and while it's running and compiling and all of that, I'm gonna explain basically what we're gonna do. Now we have basically a folder structure following that part I was explaining here. And so we have the models. We already had models in our previous app, but now we need like more models to show more data that we're getting from the API. All the models are already linked, and they are already on the project, so you don't have to do any of them. It's just basically Dart classes with some constructor to actually serialize the data from a JSON, so you don't have to do that. I already set up the models for that. Then if you see, this app has a huge bug. We have only a loading screen, so we're not getting the data yet, because we're gonna rewrite that part for the app. So this is basically our home. We have that here, and then we have this button right over here. And when we click this button, you can see a new page that's called Your Pokemons. So we're gonna display the list of Pokemons like the last time. And when we actually display that list, we're gonna um, we're gonna show a detailed screen for the Pokemons, and in that detailed screen you can actually catch the Pokemons. And when you catch a Pokemon, you will see it there. So let's go through the to-dos. We have some Pokemon API to-dos, some app, and state, catch, detail, home. Okay, so the new screens are basically detail. We already had home, and now we have catch. That's this page. We're gonna begin by going through the Pokemon API. So we already had like the API calls in the UI. That's not really the best way to use the to make an API call, because we're not like we need to separate the logic that calls the network, the logic that actually manage our state, and the logic that goes to the UI. So that's the part that we need to change here. So we already have the API URL, the same as before, and we have all the imports we need to actually do this part. So if we actually see the to-dos, we see we need some methods. That's basically the methods we had before in the initial the last workshop. So basically what we're gonna do is first to call the API to get all the Pokemons. That's the thing we did before. We're gonna define a get Pokemons method. This, as we know from the last workshop, has to be async because we're gonna make an API call. And what we're gonna do is exactly the same as we did in the first workshop. So we're gonna wait for a response. You already know what this does and how to do that. So we're gonna use the API URL because this is all Pokemons. And then we're gonna decode. We're gonna use JSON decode to do that. And we're gonna use the response body. That's the part we need to decode. And then we're gonna return actually a list of Pokemons. So as we know, every async method returns a type future. That's an asynchronous value. So we're gonna use a future, and that future will return a list of base Pokemon. That's the type we're using for this part, actually. Then if for the specific Pokemon we use another type, but we're getting there. So we're gonna define a Pokemon's variable, and we're gonna initialize it in an empty list of type base Pokemon. So there's our list. Our list is empty right now, and we're gonna use a basic for loop. We're gonna use Pokemon, or basically, yeah, we're gonna call it Pokemon. So we're gonna use Pokemon, and we're gonna use a for in loop. So we're gonna use decode, and in decode we already know the API returns that list in the results part. So we're gonna go to our Pokemon's variable that's gonna store every item. We're gonna add base Pokemon from JSON, and we're gonna use the Pokemon. So that's basically our way to serialize every Pokemon that the API returns to us. And then we're gonna return that to the Pokemon. We're gonna return that to the state. So we need to return that part. So basically, that's our first to do. That's the first function we're gonna use, and then we're gonna define the second function we're gonna use when we need a specific Pokemon. So this one will be an API Pokemon because we already know the API returns two different Pokemons. There's one that only has a name and a URL, but when you go to that URL, you have many more properties that the API gives you. So we're gonna use get Pokemon. This time is one Pokemon. It's singular, so it doesn't contain an S. And we're gonna make basically the same. It's a little bit short because we're only getting one, so we don't need our for loop and our Pokemon's list variable. So we're gonna do HTTP get, and this is another URL, and this must be a dynamic URL. So we're gonna use a parameter called URL, and we're gonna pass it to the method to actually get another Pokemon. So we're decoding that too, and we're using JSON decode, and the source is response.body as the one before. Okay, so we're gonna return an API Pokemon from JSON, and then decode. That's basically our two methods now in an API Pokemon class that will be the class managing our request to the API. So, okay, if there's a question there, you can tell me, you can interrupt me, it's okay. So basically that's the API part. Now we have our methods there and it's cleaner, it's better code if you actually separate that logic. Now, the next part will be our state. So this part is actually pretty interesting because we're using a Pokemon state class, but we're using something called mixin. So this is basically like, you can say inheritance, maybe. It's a particular thing in Dart where basically you can actually do inheritance from two classes at once. So you actually can do inheritance this way and actually make it extend. But if you want like two classes coming together, you can use with. I'm used to use with. So if you want like a Pokemon state that has this class called change notifier and another class called API Pokemon, you can actually use that as a mixin because, well, it declares a constructor. That's basically our constraint. But if you make two classes that are actually compatible, you can do a mixin that way. So what does the Pokemon state class has? Okay, so this is a constructor. We're only setting up the API. So we have the API object. So we can actually do the request and get the data from the API. And then we have two variables. We have a Pokemon's. We have a Pokemon's, a base Pokemon list. And then we have a get method to get that list because this is actually a private private property. If you use languages like Python, you know that when you set an underscore first in the string, you actually are declaring that property as private. So we need a get method to actually get the value of that property. So we have the Pokemons and we have the My Pokemons. So basically, My Pokemons will be the list of your catch Pokemons that will be shown in this page. And Pokemons is the general list. I mean, not the ones you catch, but the ones you actually, all of them that you get from the API. So we're gonna create the method to call the API, and we're gonna create the catch Pokemon logic. Okay, so this is pretty simple. This is really straightforward, and I just wanna set like explain the change notifier class. So we're using a state manager called provider. That's like the default one when you use Flutter. It's really straightforward and really simple. And basically, change notifier is a class that you can set up properties and methods that can be can change, and you can notify the changes in the class. So every time we actually call a method from the class that's called change notifiers. Every time we call change notifiers, everywhere that has access to this class will have those changes notified. It's like a set state in a stateful widget. So we're gonna create the method. We're gonna use get Pokemons, the same name as the one in the API. We're gonna make it async because we need to await for a value. And we're gonna set Pokemons here, await, and call the API. The API has get Pokemons, and that's basically it. That's all we need to actually get the Pokemons from the API. And when we have the Pokemons, we need to notify the listeners of this class. So if I declare this class in this screen, every part in which I have the reference to that class will have the changes from the Pokemon state, because it's a change notifier, and we're gonna use notify listeners. So we need the other method that's well, get Pokemon will be another one. We're gonna use get Pokemon, same basically, async, and then we have the actual API call. We don't have a Pokemon class, so basically what this returns will be everything, and as we're only using it in the Pokecard, so we're just expecting one value, and the Pokecard has its own state with stateful widget, so we're gonna use like this just to pass the value. So we're getting the URL from the Pokemon, and then we're gonna actually return await, and then use API get Pokemon, and we're gonna pass the URL. So if you see, this is a one-line function. If we have one-line functions, I mean, we can't do this with the get Pokemons one, because we need to call notify listeners. But in this part, we only need to get the actual Pokemon. So we're gonna basically save some lines of code, and we're gonna use an arrow function to actually return the value that we're awaiting here from the API. So that's basically our methods, our call to API logic, and we're gonna create the catch Pokemon logic. So we're gonna define a method called catch Pokemon. It doesn't need to be async because this is not an API call. It's just basic logic. And we're gonna use API Pokemon because that's the type we're actually displaying on this screen. We're gonna call it new Pokemon. So new Pokemon basically will be added to my Pokemons. We're gonna add new Pokemon to that list. And then we're gonna just set up a property. I mean, we can set up, I already did in the models, like, let me see, bool catch property, but actually we don't use it in the app because I was thinking this will be like different, but we're not gonna use it. So we basically just add that part and use notify listeners to actually update the list. When we get it, we're gonna see the new value. So that's basically our catch Pokemon logic. And then we're gonna check how are we doing with the problems. So is there any question right now? I don't know. Okay, so basically the problems we have in the app right now are set up state management to actually use it. We need to show the catch Pokemon list here in the screen. We need to set up all the detailed screen, actually use the catch Pokemon functionality, show the Pokemon detailed data on body, and we need to, well, this part is like updating home, and we need to do the new logic for the Pokecard to actually fetch the Pokemons from the state manager, then the API. So we're gonna first set up the state management. So, oh, I don't see anything. Okay, let me see. Okay. So we have basically this part, and let me see. Okay. So basically we have this package called provider. If you go to popspec.yaml, you'll see provider there. And basically provider, what helps us with, it's like setting up all the states we need around the app. So if we go to the app, we're actually importing the package provider here. So we're using a widget called change notifier provider, because basically we're using a change notifier class. So provider has already a method called change notifier provider that is expecting actually a change notifier class. So we're gonna add the required argument create, and then it actually sends a build context to the class, but we're not using it, so we're only gonna leave it blank. And we're using an arrow function too, and we're gonna create our state to actually use it around the app. So basically, the Pokemon state expects a Pokemon API. So we're gonna send a Pokemon API object to the state to actually have the API object. So that's basically our setup for state management. So we surround we wrap the material app in a change notifier provider for it to actually have access to the state any part of the app. And when we actually create that object for Pokemon state, we pass it Pokemon API. That's the one the state is going to use to actually make the API calls. Okay, so that's the first part. So we now have our state set up, and we can actually see what's there. So okay, we're gonna go to the home screen. We need to actually do some updates on the home screen. If you see, there's some packages we're not using right now, and we have some changes to actually make on the screen. So if you remember, this home screen was a stateful widget. Now our state is actually on the Pokemon state, on the change notifier class. So we're now using a stateless widget because our state is somewhere else. So we're now to access our state, we have this variable called Pokemons that is basically useless right now. But we can actually access our state in any part of the app thanks to provider. So we're gonna use a list of, this is base Pokemon, and then we're gonna call it Pokemons. So this list will not be a list coming from this widget. So we're gonna use the context, and provider helps us with a method called select that actually uses change notifier. So we're gonna specify the type that will be Pokemon state. Okay, so we have that value. Okay, so it's Pokemon state. Yeah, there wasn't an S missing. So we're gonna use that, and we're gonna call it state. So select allows us to actually get one property of our state. So we're gonna use state dot Pokemon, and that's actually what using our state looks like. So we're now actually, okay, if you see the new home screen, it's really similar to the other one. We just have a new widget called padded image that it's an image with some padding that you pass to it. So it's actually really simple, and we use it here in the leading with the Pikachu image. We use it here with the Pokeball image. So and then this image has actually a gesture detector that detects if the user taps on that part, and uses this class called navigator to get us to the other screen. So that's basically what's happening there. And then we're checking if the Pokemon is empty. If it's not empty, we're using the same as before. We're using the grid view, this time with a cross-axis count of 3. So basically, we're gonna see 3 Pokemons by each row. And we're using PokeCard to display them. So that's basically our setup for the state on the home screen to actually consume it from the Pokemon state. So we're getting few errors right now. We're gonna use we're gonna go to the PokeCard, then we're gonna go to the catch part, and then we're gonna go to the detail part. That's the detail is the is the like the I don't know, like you can say that's the harder part or the longest part, we can say, because it's not really hard. So we're going to the Poke card. That's the first part. And in the Poke card, we're now, we actually fetch the data because the state of the Poke card, it's actually a bit like different to the others because this state actually is contained only in the Poke card. So we don't need the Poke card state everywhere else in the app. We only need it in the actual Poke card. So what we're doing by setting our state in another class, we're actually setting the state like globally in all the app. So we don't need a specific Pokemon in every part of the app. We only need it on the actual Poke card. So we're just doing that here. And then we need to add the new logic to fetch Pokemons from the state manager and then the API. Then it's basically the same. If you click on the actual card, you're going to the detail screen, and the detail screen actually receives a Pokemon, the Pokemon that has the card. So that's the different part. So we're using data. We're getting data from the state class, and we're using await because this is an asynchronous operation. And then we're gonna use something called another method from provider called read. So basically read allows us to actually executing a method from the state. So select was for getting a specific property from the state, and read is to execute some methods. So we're gonna use Pokemon state. That's the part we need. And we're gonna get Pokemon. So that's basically widget dot poke URL. That's really similar to the previous workshop sample. So we're gonna use set state because this is a stateful widget and we can set up the data like that. We're gonna set Pokemon equals to data. And that's basically everything we need in the Poke card. So now if I restart the app, I don't think it's gonna work actually, but we're gonna see. Okay, it's not working. It's okay. So we're gonna actually see why it's happening. So we're now setting our functions, our methods in our state, but we actually never call get Pokemons. So we're gonna do some changes to the constructor, and we're actually, when we initialize the constructor, we're gonna call the get Pokemons method. So now I need to restart the app for it to restart the state, and we can see we now have the Pokemons like last time. And we're seeing the actual 3 forms of Pokemons that has Bulbasaur, that has Charmander, and it looks better. I think we should have make it that way the first time. So now we have the 3 Pokemons in the same row. So okay, that's great. We're gonna just set up that part that way to look cleaner. And then we have the Poke card. So every time you click the Poke card, it actually gets you to this detail screen that only has the actual Pokemon, the Pokemon name, and it has a catch button. So we're gonna change that a bit. now we have fewer problems, I guess. Yeah, we only have 8 problems. We're getting to the catch screen later, I think. Yeah. Or maybe no, we're gonna leave it to till the end. So we need to go to this to-dos, and basically this is the detail screen. We have a Pokemon. We have a method that's basically the one that actually gives us the route for this page and receives a Pokemon. That's the one we're getting here. You can see we actually assign the Pokemon here. And then we have a basic structure. So we have an onPress method. We're gonna actually have the functionality to catch a Pokemon here. And that functionality is on state right now, right? So I'm just gonna ask a question to everyone if you're actually paying attention. So I'm gonna call the actual logic to catch a Pokemon. So if I have the logic in my state and I'm gonna actually use the method, what uh, what should I do to use the method from the state? Can you listen? I mean, don't be shy. You can actually say something wrong and it's okay.
Do you want to repeat the question?
Okay, so basically I'm going to do the functionality of catching a Pokemon in the actual UI. So that functionality is on the state. So how do I call the state to actually get that method?
Would it be the set state thingy?
No, this is not a stateful
Oh,
widget.
sorry.
Yeah.
No one seems to know.
Okay, so
Yeah.
that's basically the same part when we actually call the method to get a Pokemon. We're gonna use this same syntax to actually get the state. So we're gonna use context, read Pokemon state. We're gonna import that. And then we need to catch Pokemon. So the Pokemon we're gonna catch will be the one in the detail screen. So we're gonna pass it to the catch Pokemon part. And that's all we need to actually catch the Pokemon. Okay, so we need to show the Pokemon detail data on the body. So it means we need a body to do that. And then that body will be basically a column. Gonna have some children, and those children will be basically, the first one will be a row. You already know the widgets, so I'm not gonna go through them. And then we're gonna create actually another new widget we're gonna use actually to display data. I'm gonna make it private with the underscore and call it like info column, or you can call it data column or something like that. So data column will be, if you can guess, a column. And we're gonna actually pass some data to the column. we're gonna get a title because we're gonna display a title and then like a list of items. So we're having a title, we're having a list. It can be any object, so we're gonna set up any object to that list. And then we're gonna set items. Yeah. So we need to add them to the constructor here. You can actually do a code action there and add final fields to the form, to the constructor. So we're gonna use that here. We're gonna use text to display the title. And the title will be, well, we're gonna just display that. And then we can actually, there are two things we can show in this part, and this could be better like structured in code, but I mean the API is not that great, so we're gonna have to use it like this. So I'm going to okay, we're going to go through the items, and we're gonna make an if the item is type, there's one type here that has a type of Pokemon that's called type. You need to import it like this because Dart has already a class called type. So you need to specify which type are you using. And then we're gonna use text. We're gonna display the item. We're gonna use type, then type name. Yeah. So that's basically what we're doing there. And we're gonna do that same part. Yeah, we need to specify a comma there. And we're gonna do exactly that with another type called ability. So here it's basically the same, but with ability. And basically you can get rid of one of these four by using like an interface, an abstract class to actually set type and ability to inherit from that class, and basically just use that class there to make the validation on the if. But that's actually the part where the API comes short, basically. And we're gonna set up some styles for this text. I already have these styles saved here, so I'm just gonna paste them. Basically, these are like title styles and text styles for this part. We're gonna use them right here. We're gonna use title style here. It's really simple, actually. It's just a variable called title style that's using the text theme of the theme in the app, and just like copies that actual text theme and uses the color white to basically look better on the screen. And then we're using this other style on the other text. So we have that, and we're gonna display the data. So basically we can now use data column here, and we can set up the title. We're gonna use first type, Then we're gonna set up the items. So the Pokemon has types here. We're gonna pass the types. We're gonna use another one, and this one will be abilities. Set up abilities. Okay, so now we can see. I think that went like. Oh, okay, so yeah. Basically, this is also text style, and this title is the one that uses title style. Yeah, it makes sense. So we now have some text and some stats there, and we're gonna just use some properties of the row to actually align better that part. So we're gonna use the main axis alignment of the row to space evenly. This is like spacing for the columns. And we're gonna use cross-axis alignment to the start. So if you see, the type is a little bit lower if I don't set up that property. So I'm gonna just set the type there. And we're gonna use the column to actually have another cross-axis alignment. We're gonna set that cross-axis alignment to the start. Okay. So, okay, so that is in the lower column, yeah. So the lower column has, yeah, the cross-axis alignment. We can see we have it there. So we're now displaying the properties of our Pokemon, and we're gonna do just another a little little part. I mean, it's like really simple if you see it that way. So we're gonna use another widget called wrap. Wrap, it's basically a column that actually can grow vertically also if you set up the amount of objects to, like, a wrap is like a column that can grow vertically if it needs to grow vertically. So if we assign, we set up a lot of children to the wrap, it's gonna grow vertically, and that doesn't happen on the column. So we're gonna use a for loop to go to the sprites. We're gonna use the images in Pokemon sprites. And we have the props, yeah. So in props, we have every sprite we need. And we're gonna check if the sprite is null, because sometimes the sprite can be null. So it's different, null. And we're gonna use image.network image. We're gonna set up the sprite. Okay, so now we have the Charmeleons there. And that's a bit better, I think. So we now show the Pokemon detail data on body, so we can get rid of the to do. And that's basically that part. That's how we show data from the API. We're gonna just correct this part. Yeah. And then, well, I don't know if there's any question till now. And then we only have 3 problems. So basically it's one problem that's gonna solve the other 2. And we're gonna go to the catch Pokemons. And we need to show the catch Pokemons list. So we're gonna use a widget we saw on the previous workshop that's called list view. It's going to be a basic list view. We need to access the state in this part actually. So we're gonna use we're gonna set up a my Pokemons variable, and that variable we're gonna use the context to select the my Pokemons from the state. So we need Pokemon state. Set up the state, and we're having state dot my Pokemons. Yeah. So that's basically what we need from the state is my Pokemon. So we're gonna use that, and we're gonna display that part. So item count of this will be my Pokemon dot length. Oh yeah. So we need to set up this as a list of API Pokemons will be this time. So Dart can know this is a list, so it has a length. So we're gonna set up the item builder. It has a context. We're not passing the context. It has an index. We're actually gonna need that index, so we're using it. We're gonna return a list style. That list style will have the leading, and the leading will be an image that network, and it will be. Oh, we're gonna actually extract the singular Pokemon for that. So we're using my Pokemons, and we're gonna access the index. That's a great part about working with list views. It's really cool to access an individual Pokemon. So we're gonna use the sprites, and we're gonna pass the front default. That's basically an image like this one. Okay, so now we have the image. Then we're gonna set up a title. Title will be text, Pokemon, name. Yeah. And that's basically what we need, I think. That's all we need for this part to work. And then I'm just gonna, okay. Okay, so we're gonna use the method that we use to actually set up the first capital letter of the word. And now we don't have any problems, I guess. We're gonna restart the state to see if that's true. So we're getting the Pokemons, everything is okay. And then if we go to the catch page, we see we don't have any Pokemons there. So we're gonna, I don't know. Well, one of my favorite Pokemons is Charizard. So I'm gonna catch Charizard. So you can see all the different images of Charizard. And if you catch with this button, you're not seeing any feedback, but we're gonna actually go to the catch screen, and we're gonna see if we have a Charizard now. So if you go there, we have our Charizard. And that's basically how you state manage your app. If you go to, I don't know, like Pidgeotto, maybe, you can catch it, and then you go to the catch page, and you see now you have a Charizard, now you have a Pidgeotto, and now you can be like Ash and go catching all the Pokemons you want, basically. So if you have any questions, if you want me to explain another part, you can talk right now. I'm gonna check the chat.
No questions at the moment, Marcus.
Okay.
Just some clapping after you caught some Pokemons. Virtual
Okay.
clapping. I don't know if you saw it, but yeah, people are using the reaction emote of Zoom.
Oh
Pretty
yeah,
cool.
I couldn't see it. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's cool. Yeah.
Oh, we have one quick question. So what does image.network do?
Okay, so just let me. I just need to actually see better that part. I'm gonna. Where's that white? Yeah. Yeah. Now it's better. So okay, image.network. Basically, image is a class that we use to display an image, and there's a lot of things you can do with image. It's like if you set up this trailing, you can go to image, and image has four constructors. So if you go to asset, you actually get an image that you have on the assets. Like, for example, we have assets, the images, and we have Pikachu. So if we set up that part, we're gonna see a Pikachu right there in every list style we have. And that's when you have an asset from your app, an asset you actually set up on the app. But the API is a web service, so it's on the internet. So every time you need to display an image from the internet, you actually need to use the network constructor. So you basically pass a link to the constructor. This front default, it's basically a link. And if we go here to the Poke API, okay, so we're gonna use like Ditto, gonna submit, and then okay, so Ditto has sprites. Let me see. Okay, sprites, and you see the sprites are, some are null. That's why I check if some sprite is null, right? I think it's here. Yeah, so when I display the sprites in the detailed part, you see those. Some of them are null, so I check if the sprite is null here, and then display the network image. So if we go to catch and we like the trailing image.network, we can pass it a link, and basically we can use like front default for Ditto. So if you go to this link, you'll have the PNG asset of Ditto. We can see it there. Yeah, that's Ditto. So we're gonna use that, and we're gonna paste it here. So in every tile on the catch page, you have a Ditto right there. So that's basically what image network does. It actually receives a link to an image asset from the internet and then displays it on the app. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, we don't have any other questions at the moment. So is there more, Marcus, or is that?
Well, I think that's basically it. Yeah, we can.
Oh, we got a quick
Okay.
question. What is the
Okay.
use? Sorry, what is the use of props in details.dart?
Okay. Yeah, that's a really good question, actually. Okay. So actually, Dart, we're gonna actually go deep into one of Dart, one of the things Dart is lacking. So when we get our models and our classes, you can see we have all the properties, right? But what if I want to call all the properties in one specific class? So if we have this base Pokemon and I have like a base Pokemon object, we can see that on the state, for example. We have this API Pokemon, so we can do new Pokemon. I don't know. We have all the properties, right? But what if I want to actually get all the sprites? I can only get the specific sprite I actually want, but I can't go through all of them like with a for loop or an iterator like a map or something like that. I can do it. So actually, I set up this package called Equitable, and basically Equitable, what it does, it creates a mixing. Well, it actually can be like, it's an abstract class, so you can inherit from that class, and it provides you with a static method called props. So props returns the list of every property you have on your app. So props is basically properties. And when you go to the detail, you can't actually do this because sprites using the for loop must implement iterable. I don't know how you pronounce that. I think it's iterable. Okay, so for that we need props to actually do that. So that's basically why we use that package to extend the functionality of our sprites model. Yeah, and actually iterate over it. Okay. Yeah, that was actually a really good question. I didn't go over that.
Cool. Are we doing more, Marcus?
Yeah, we can actually go through some animations now that we have some time.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, just let me see. I'm just gonna set up this text to be white. Okay, so we can. Okay, let me see. We can actually do some refactor to this page. I don't know if you guys like this button, or you think we can do it better. I think we can do it better. Yeah. Okay, so there's this property on Scaffold called floating action button. If you have Android, you must know this button from basically any app. This actually creates a floating action button on screen. So now there's a button there. I'm just gonna change the color because it's the same color as the background. So we're gonna do background color. We're gonna do colors.white. So we now have this button here, and we can use it the same way as our catch button. So we're gonna use that. We're gonna copy the functionality to catch the Pokemon, and we're gonna remove this and all the actions because we don't actually need them. Okay, so now we're gonna call that method. And that's how we're gonna catch Pokemons now. And if you take a look, it's basically the same as a Pokeball. So we're basically doing a Pokeball there. So it has a child, it as in, you can set up an image asset. We're gonna use assets, sets, images, Pokeball, PNG. Okay, so now we have a Pokemon button that's quite better. Yeah, so we don't need this color anymore. We can get rid of that. And basically, if you see, this is the same button here to catch Pokemon. Well, to go to the catch Pokemon. And we can do some implicit animations. Okay, so in Flutter, there are like explicit and implicit animations. So actually, the floating action button has an implicit animation that's called hero. So hero is basically when you have an object on one page and then you navigate to another page, and maybe that item on that page is on the other page you're actually navigating to. So for example, this Pokeball, every time I hit one Pokemon, it goes from here to here and becomes a button. So we can do something like that, and we can actually animate that button. So floating action button has a hero tag. So when you create a hero animation, you have a tag, and that's like an unique ID. So we're gonna set up the Pokeball. That's our new tag for the floating action button. And we're using that on, okay, we're having that on this screen. So now we have another Charizard, I think. Yeah, we have another Charizard. Oh, so you can do that. Oh, that's awesome. You can have more Pokemon. Yeah. Okay, that's cool. And in the home, we have this part. So gesture detector, this is the actual part where we have to wrap in a new widget called hero. Hero is the widget that provides us with the hero animation. So we're gonna set up a tag like the other part. And as I said, the tag is a unique ID. So if we set up Pokeball, we're gonna have the same tag in both this Pokeball and the Pokeball that's right under the detail page. So now that we have that, we probably are gonna see some animations there. So keep an eye on that. We're gonna click on this. Oh, that's not the, yeah, that's not the one. Okay, so we're gonna click on Charizard, and then you can see the Pokeball actually goes down. Yeah, if you return to the other page, the Pokeball goes up. You click on that. No, that's not the one. I don't know why do I hit that one. Okay, so you go to Charizard again, the Pokeball goes down. So I don't know if you like that. Okay, that's one implicit animation. So we can, okay. I don't know if we have more time, if you want to.
Yeah, we could do
Yes.
one more. That's pretty cool. We could do one more.
Okay, we can use another one, another hero one. So we're gonna just to make sure you understand how heroes work. We're not using this. So we're not using this. Well, I think we're gonna use that one. Okay, so we're gonna use Pokecard, and we're gonna use home screen. Yeah. Detail we're no. Yeah, we're using actually detail and Pokecard. Okay. So when we go here to the sprites, we can wrap this with a hero, and we can provide a tag that's going to be the sprite, the actual sprite. So every time we go to the other page, we're gonna see the sprite from the card going to the other page to its place. So basically that will be PokeCard. If you go to PokeCard, you go to image.network. If you wrap it with a hero, then you use the tag, and we're gonna use Pokemon sprites from default. Okay, so now every time we click on one of these cards and we're going to the detail one, we're gonna see the Pokemon animating there. So we're gonna use Blastoise because Blastoise is like really huge for you to see that. So we're gonna click on that, and you can see Blastoise actually goes there too. If we go like that, you can see that. And just a comment, you don't want to set up a lot of animations on your apps because they can actually look kind of it's like too much. I mean, it's like an example, right? But actually watching this and the Pokeball moving at the same time, it's kind of annoying sometimes. It's like, what are you doing moving the two at the same time? You don't want a lot of animations sometimes, but it's just an example. So I think it's okay like that. So that's basically some implicit animations that's really easy, and I think you actually see that on a lot of apps. Okay, so there's a question. Do animations lag or become too much for the system to handle sometimes? Yeah, actually, these implicit ones are really, you can say, cool, because you actually don't handle too much of compute power with these implicit animations, because Flutter does that for you. But there are some explicit animations that require some things called animation controllers, and you can do like your custom animations for each part, and sometimes that actually handles a lot of resources from the system. So implicit ones are easier, are I can say that are my favorites, because you don't need a lot of knowledge to actually implement them. You can see we're gonna remove that hero, so we don't have the two animations there. But you can see this is a really cool animation. I mean, the Pokeball going down. I don't know why I still hit that one. Okay, so you can see the Pokeball going down, and that's really cool. I like that animation. But there are some animations that are more complex, and basically that's when you need some animation controllers and that kind of stuff. Yeah, but these ones are really cheap for the system.
Cool. Um, I had a question. So, like, is there like any
Yeah.
you could go, like some quick examples, not like coded, but like quick examples of some explicit animations? Like, what could that be?
Okay. Okay, so you can actually go to animations. And if you go there, you can see some that are the Flutter team at Google has really put some effort on creating some documentation for animation. So you can actually go to the docs and check if you need which animation is right for you. So you can actually check if what you are doing must be an implicit one or an explicit one. And then you can see you can see some built-in explicit animations too. And there are a lot of code labs for doing animations and creating animations that way. So we're gonna search for explicit ones. Yeah, so basically that's how you can actually check the animations. So I'm gonna send you the link. This is a really good video how you can implement those animations on your app. Yeah, so basically that's some resource for that.
Cool, looks good. Thanks, Marcos. Anyone else have any questions for Marcos? Any final questions? It could be regarding the app or Flutter in general.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't look like it. Cool.
Okay.
Great. Yeah, if you have any questions, just put them in the chat while we, I guess, do the Kahoot at the end.